listening to this, you either own or you don't own Bitcoin. So which one is it? If you don't own Bitcoin, there's probably good reasons why. And if you do own Bitcoin, well, there's probably also some good reasons why. You see, no matter what side of the coin you're on here, whether you're an owner or you're not an owner, you probably see it as priceless. For the people that don't own Bitcoin because they don't think it has any value, it's not going to be around, or a whole host of other reasons that tie into its FUD narratives or fear, uncertainty, and doubt, you think Bitcoin is priceless. Like it doesn't have a price. There's no point in putting a price on it because we can't use it. It's not going to be around. What can I buy with it? Then there's the other side of the coin. And that's where I am and many other people, which is it's priceless. We need to get as much as we can before the institutions come. And then we can't really afford any. So on this episode, let's look at why you don't or why people don't own Bitcoin. I'm Jarrett Carpenter, and this is More Than Blockchain. So you don't own Bitcoin, or maybe you do, but you know people that don't. And that's to be expected. It's pretty new. It's only 13 years old, so I get it. I mean, you can't use it to buy anything really. And long term, is it even going to be around? When it comes to seeing Bitcoin as an investment, I think these are the two biggest reasons why people don't do it. And I want to add on a third at the end. One of them is that they can't use it to get anything. There's absolutely no utility. By owning this thing, they can't pay their mortgage, they can't pay their car insurance, they can't pay their cell phone bill, can't buy a flight to go on vacation, and they can't pay the vet when their dog gets sick. So it's not really helping them in the short term. And in the long term, who knows if it's going to be around? In this life, nothing is promised. So maybe Bitcoin's not going to be around. So I get that. Those are from the investment side. And then the third one is just people say they don't have money. But I think that's more pointing towards they don't see it as a priority because of the first two. Because in the short term, it's not really like having money. And in the long term, they don't see it as an investment when compared to their mortgage or their 401k or traditional stocks. So I get that. And then I think there's the X, Y, and Z of the FUD narrative or the fear, uncertainty, and doubt, which is that it's only used for illicit activity, it's boiling the oceans because of how much energy it uses, or it's a Ponzi scheme or some type of scam. Now, on another episode, I will dive into all of those and really debunk them because while they're pushed by many, many people, including politicians, CNN, Fox News, and any nighttime news network, none of them are really based in what's actually going on. But that's okay. I get it. This is new. And it's really crazy, though. We're in 2020, and Bitcoin is still kind of fringe. And when I say still kind of fringe, I mean, if you're out and you're talking to people, unless you're in a big city like maybe New York or San Francisco, a lot of people don't own it. And they may bring up one of those three FUD narratives that, hey, that's a Ponzi scheme, man. That's a scam. I've heard this 100 times. Second one, hey, you're boiling the oceans. If you want to, kill everyone because of climate crisis, that's your thing. I heard that 1,000 times. And then finally, well, I guess I must be working for the cartel or a terrorist organization because apparently only those people use Bitcoin. And like I said, in another episode, I will dive deeper into all of those. But I think why people don't own Bitcoin, invest in it, or maybe why you don't own Bitcoin is really simple. It's fear. And more specifically, it's fear of the unknown. It's fear of new technologies. It's fear of new things. But let's focus on this idea of new technologies. And to understand the present, let's look back at the past. And when I was thinking about this episode and how I wanted to frame this, I wrote down a list of technologies that in the past were hated upon, but now I don't think we could really live without. And to start off, I want to talk about two things that aren't part of my lived experience, and then one thing that is totally part of my lived experience to discuss this idea of fear of new technologies. To start off, airplanes. When the Wright brothers were failing and failing to get off the ground, literally, I can't imagine that there were a lot of people that were like, oh yeah, this is going to work. This is definitely going to work. These dudes are going to continue to put themselves in some balsa wood contraption and eventually get flight. Yeah, this is going to work. No, there were probably a lot of haters. And a lot of those haters were probably journalists with their pens and their pads and their entire human history to back them up that this wouldn't work. Because if it hadn't worked in the past, why would it work tomorrow? And along these lines, if it hadn't worked in the past, why do we need it tomorrow? Well, that's the thing about innovation. Sometimes they're solving problems you didn't even know you had, and they're solutions to things you didn't even know you need to be solved. Fast forward to today, and I don't think I can imagine the world without planes or plane travel. The second thing is cars or automobiles. And when they came out, they were totally hated upon. Why would they be better than the horse and buggy? The horse and buggy being the thing that had helped people get around for, all of time. So why do we need this new thing? If you fast forward, you could think of electric cars also. But let's look back, because I wasn't there and I've only read about it. And if you're interested to hear more on this, you can listen to episode 8 with Nick Widmer and then check out his blog. He has a really great blog about the horseless carriage, which was the name that they gave to automobiles because they didn't know what to call it. There was no name. They were creating new nomenclature or new vernacular for the future. And today, I really don't think I could imagine the world without cars or automobiles. Could you? Fast forwarding to the now and focusing on my lived experience, the thing that I think people push back upon most are social networks or new tech. When Facebook came out, I remember I was one of the first 10 to 20 million people that joined because I was at university roughly a year after it launched. Facebook launched in 2004 from Mark Zuckerberg's Harvard dorm room. And in August of 2005, I was a freshman in college. So I was one of the first people to be able to use Facebook and create an account, which is really kind of cool. But I remember when I started to use it, other people that weren't college students or maybe hadn't been on Facebook, were like, what's the point of that? Why would I need that? Fast forward to today, and there's something like 2.7 billion people on Facebook. So if Facebook were a country, it'd be 8 times the size of the United States. Meaning that these things added value. We just maybe couldn't see it in the present. Because adoption curves of new technologies, well, they take time. So could you imagine a world without airplanes, cars, or Facebook? Or beyond Facebook's social networks? And if you want to add in that list, here's a list of other things that when they came out, they were paradigm shifters or disruptors that I'm sure had a lot of haters, and there was a lot of FUD around these things. The television, smartphones, electricity, the rotary engine, the internet, Wi-Fi, air conditioning, Twitter, Instagram, Uber, Airbnb, and you probably still don't have an account on TikTok, but that's okay because this is what happens in adoption curves. There's early adopters, and then there's everyone else who eventually gets on the train. Going back to Bitcoin, I think it's one of the main reasons why people don't own Bitcoin, or maybe why you don't own Bitcoin. It's the fear of the unknown. It's the fear of a new technology. It's the fear of a disruptive technology. It's a fear of a paradigm shift. But you tell me, why don't you own Bitcoin? Thanks for listening to this episode, and be sure to follow us at More Than Blockchain on social media. If you're interested to learn more about the pod or want to get in contact with me, check out morethanblockchain.xyz. Also, no matter where you're listening to this, please go ahead and subscribe. And if you found value in this, and maybe you own or don't own, or you want to share this episode with someone that doesn't own Bitcoin, go ahead and do that. I think that seeing Bitcoin through the lens of an innovative and disruptive and paradigm-shifting technology can sometimes be an easier way to frame it than just, some quirky investment that very few people are doing. And feel free to reach out. While this is not investment advice, I hope that you've enjoyed it. And I personally see Bitcoin as a disruptive technology that I want to be a part of. Just like the airplane, the automobile, and now even Facebook. Also, and I'm sure you've noticed, we have some new intro and outro music. So let me know what you think. Thanks again for checking out More Than Blockchain, and I'll see you next time.